Season 5 of Warzone and Black Ops 6 is finally here. There's a whole load of quality of life improvements, along with a map change on Verdansk too, with the stadium opening up and a contract going alongside it, the satellite hijack contract. This is on top of the new weapons like the PML 556 LMG and the ABR A1, which is essentially just a bursted assault rifle. Along with the new weapons, of course, there's, as usual, new skins and operators as well. So there's a lot going on this season, and now seems like a great time to improve our settings, get the game looking great, and get an advantage over the enemy, which is why I'm covering the best graphic settings in Warzone and Black Ops 6 right now. And we start here with the display settings, specifically the refresh rate. So we want to enable 120Hz refresh rate, which will only be an option if your system can run 120Hz like a newer generation console, and if your monitor allows it as well. For brightness, I've got mine on 50. I've actually reduced it a little bit recently, and that's just because Verdansk is very well lit, particularly compared to the olden days. For quality, we want to turn off world motion blur, weapon motion blur, and depth of field. These three settings can make the game look a lot more theatrical, and sometimes like you're watching a film or something, but all of those blurring effects actually just do make it harder to see people in the game, as well as sometimes causing a little bit more processing requirements on your system, which can result in a lower frames per second. Now, just before we get into the rest of the settings, if you want to unlock the brand new Dark Matter, Abyss, and Nebula camos in Black Ops 6, or grind them extremely quickly in bot lobbies, be sure to check out Mitch Cactus. They're the biggest and most reliable in Call of Duty, which will help you grind out the weekly events, camos, and all the unlocks completely legitimately. You can enjoy highly discounted COD points at up to 80% off. They have over 10,000 verified Trustpilot reviews, and you can use code SPRING for 5% off. Okay, now back to the settings. For Fidelity FX CAS, switch this on. This gives us a software solution to just having sharper images. So especially on consoles, you can notice that some images in games can be blurry. Well, this setting is a great way to get rid of that. So obviously people do play on different systems and different monitors, so there isn't a one-size-fits-all for this. Basically, if the game looks a little bit blurry, put the strength up. But generally, I think newer generation consoles, you can put somewhere between 70 and even 90 with the strength, whereas older generation consoles, you want to go a bit lower, say between 10 and 30. And then PC, it's very much going to depend on the PC. Now, you should be aware that this does lower your frames per second ever so slightly, and we really are talking between 1 or 3 frames per second or something like that. And then for on-demand texture streaming, I've got mine on optimized. If you do want to ensure it doesn't have too much of an impact on your connection, you can put on some download limits. Then as we go over to view, I've put my field of view all the way up to 120. I've noticed a huge difference playing Urzikstan and Black Ops 6 multiplayer, and then going to Verdansk. For whatever reason, the weapon feels just bigger on the screen, and like I can't see as much around me. So I have cranked it up to 120. If you do put it on this and you struggle to see enemies far away, then by all means put it down a little bit, but generally you want to see as much as the environment as possible. And again, I should warn you that the higher you have your FOV, the more processing your system has to do, so the lower frames per second you get. And actually that was the huge deal with why Call of Duty didn't want an FOV slider for consoles back on Warzone 1. They thought the impact would just be too much on performance. But now it's a little bit more optimized, we do have the option. For ADS field of view, put it on affected. This makes it so when we aim in, we're still at the FOV setting we've just set here, and then it does have the double advantage of having reduced visual recoil because of this. For weapon field of view, put this on wide. This makes our weapon look smaller, ensuring we can see as much as the environment as possible. And then for camera movements, we want to put this on least. We're not quite done there though, because we do want to go over to interface. Now, whether you're on PC or console, there is a shortcut here to making the game look much better, and that's on color customization under the readability tab. We want to go down to color filter, put it on filtered 2, and then turn the intensity all the way up to 100. This essentially is a shortcut to putting a saturation filter over the whole image, and things just pop that little bit more. That being said, if you are on PC, there are loads of different graphics card filters that you can apply, but this is a great quick way to make the game look fantastic. And then as we come over to gameplay HUD, for the safe area, we want to narrow this as much as possible. And the reason for this is that it brings that mini-map closer to the center of the screen. And the advantage of this is that when we scan from the center of the screen and our crosshairs up to the corner of the screen in the mini-map, it minimizes that distance, which means we spend more time getting the information from the mini-map and then applying that in front of us to the crosshairs. And that may sound ridiculous because it's like a millisecond, but honestly, it does have a big difference. And then for the minimap shape, we do want this on square. It gives us about a 25% extra coverage average compared to the circle option. And then the rest of the stuff on here I think is just pretty subjective. So they're all the best graphic settings for Warzone right now. If you do want to improve the rest of your settings too, then please join me over in these videos where I cover the best audio and controller settings.